We are now going to enjoy some art and look at one of the great themes in Western art. And I'm going to take you to Italy in order to see it. And I'm going to take you to Ravenna. We're looking at the river, Po River, going through the northern part of Italy. And we're looking here at the map of northeast coast. You see there the Marina di Ravenna. You can see Ravenna is a little bit inland from the coast now. It was on the water originally. Now it's moved in because of sediment silt building up. There's still canals. So Ravenna is a lot like Venice. That is, it was a city on the water with canals and so access to the sea. So a lot of the present day canals are still there. There's lots of fishermen around the canals and the rivers. And there's also a very Venetian little coastal town called Chioggia, just north of Ravenna, that's beautiful, sweet, and charming, and is exactly like Venice, except no tourists. So if you're looking for Venice with no tourists, go to Chioggia and spend the whole summer there. You'll love it. Here's the center of present-day Ravenna, the Piazza del Popolo, and we're looking at the City Hall and the central piazza. And I'm going to just take you out of the piazza and up to this great church of San Vitale, because inside of San Vitale is one of the great mosaic programs ever executed anywhere. And under Justinian, the Byzantine emperor in Constantinople, here these beautiful mosaics were completed in the church of San Vitale. And it includes a very great first presentation of the story of Abraham and Isaac. San Vitale is a central plan church, meaning circular, with a great dome. And if we move up toward the altar, over there on the left wall, here we are looking right over the high altar. Isn't that spectacular? Yeah. And you can see there, just on the left, is the story of Abraham and Isaac. If we just step back a second and look straight up, it's there. These are the best condition mosaics anywhere in the world, that is, of their age. So they're 1,500 years old, and they're in spectacular condition. The only thing that restorers might do is clean, which has been done, so they're fresh and clean and no color's been added. But you'll see when we put them up here that the artwork is spectacularly vibrant, considering that they've been sitting here for 1,500 years. So the church is also in very good shape. So a mosaic was the choice of artistic style at this point and in this location because, of course, a mosaic can endure any kind of weather and particularly damp. And so therefore, both in Constantinople and here on the coast of Italy, in Venice and here in Ravenna and Padua, the choice of artistic medium was mosaic because they knew it would survive. This is not an area where you can hope to have fresco survive. So fresco's fine in Tuscany and the rest of down south to Rome. Even in Rome, there's a lot of well-preserved fresco, but here it's too damp. So mosaic. And you can see up there in the arch the story of Abraham and Isaac. And so this would be in the story of the 2,000-year story from zero to us. This would be one of the most influential major presentations of the story of Abraham and Isaac, along with other stories of the Bible, the Old Testament here on these walls. There's other stories on the opposite side. If we move up close to the story of Abraham, there we have the picture of the angels. If you've read the text, you remember the three angels come visit Abraham and Sarah, and he serves them a meal and they talk. These, of course, are the voices of God. This is God's revelation to him. And then we see on the right side this artist's rendition of the sacrifice of Isaac. So we have Abraham all decked out in his white robes and a nice little box, and Isaac kneeling on the box. Ghiberti, many, many years later, is going to adopt that exact detail. I'll show it to you in a minute. But it's interesting, artists in Florence in the year 1500 that would have seen a Ravenna, meaning a journey to Ravenna, of course, and remembering that and probably making a copy, making a drawing of it, and liking that idea of the little box. Now, of course, that's not the way the text reads. It's on a mountain. But in any case, there's our image of Abraham and Isaac in Ravenna. These are all in the 500s. And if we just put up the text of the book of Genesis, chapter 22, here it is. It happened sometime later that God put Abraham to the test. Abraham, he called, "Here I am, Abraham, but take your son," God said, "your only child Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah, and there you shall offer him as a burnt offering on a mountain I will point out to you." Now, this all seems to us horrible, a horrible story, a horrible idea, a horrible God, a horrible test, and we're all irritated with Abraham that he would do it, you see, but we don't get the point. Let's read the rest of it, and then we'll go on with it. "So rising early the next morning, Abraham saddled his ass and took with him 2 of his servants and his son Isaac, and he chopped the wood for the burnt offering and started on his journey to the place God had pointed out to him. On the 3rd day, Abraham looked up and saw the place in the distance. Then Abraham," that's my typo, sorry. It's then Abraham said to his servants, "Stay here with the donkey. The boy and I will go over there. We will worship and come back to you." Abraham took the wood for the burnt offering, loaded it on Isaac, and carried in his own hands the fire and the knife. And then the 2 of them set out together. Isaac spoke to his father and to Abraham and said, "Father." "Yes, my son," he replied. "Look, here is the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb? Where is the lamb for the offering?" And then the 2 of them went on together. One presumes Abraham didn't explain at that point. The text does not give us any Abraham quotations. When they arrived at the place God had pointed out to him, Abraham built an altar there, arranged the wood. Then he bound his son Isaac, put him on the altar on top of the wood. Abraham stretched out his hand and seized the knife. Of course, you kill the burnt offering before you burn it. So stretched out his hand, seized the knife to kill his son. But the angel of the Lord called to him, "Abraham, Abraham." "Here I am," he said. "Do not raise your hand against the boy." The angel said, "Do not harm him, for now I know you fear God. You have not refused me your son, your only son." Then looking up, Abraham saw a ram caught by its horn in the bush. So right there was another offering. Abraham took the ram, offered it as a burnt offering in place of his son. Abraham called this place Yahweh Provides, and hence the saying today, on the mountain, Yahweh provides. And the angel of Yahweh called Abraham a second time from heaven. And now you understand in this text, the angels are the voice of the Lord. So these angels who appear and speak to Abraham are speaking the voice of the Lord. So the angel of Yahweh called Abraham second time from heaven. "I swear by my own self, it is Yahweh who speaks, because you've done this." So the angel is saying to Abraham, "And because you have not refused me your son, your only son, I will shower blessings on you. I'll make your descendants as many as the stars of heaven, the grains of sand on the seashore. Your descendants shall gain possession of the gates of their enemies. All the nations of the earth will bless themselves by your descendants as a reward for your obedience." And Abraham went back to his servants, and together they set out for Beersheba, and he settled in Beersheba. So that's our story. Returning to our spectacular image in Ravenna, what is this all about? Well, in the ancient world, and long after this story of Abraham, human sacrifice was ubiquitous. It was everywhere. It was assumed that the final way that human beings could assuage the wrath and rage of the divine power was to offer up one of their own. This idea was everywhere. It was widespread in Greece. It was still going on in our era in Rome long after it had been stopped and prohibited. It was still being done. We have many anecdotal accounts of it. Many other cultures did it, and as all of you here know, the Aztecs had this action at the center of their culture. In fact, their entire military policy was built on the goal of conquering enemy peoples, neighboring peoples, Mayas and others, conquering them in a war, taking thousands of prisoners in the war. They wouldn't kill them. They would take them prisoner so they could take them back to Mexico City and offer them up on the Great Pyramid. And there's no doubt this went on anymore. All kinds of experts who love the Aztecs have denied it for the whole of the 20th century. And now it is beyond doubt. Archaeological discoveries in the center of Mexico City, right in the very Zocalo center piazza, have discovered multiple bones, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds in one place with the same mark, so that we know how they were sacrificed. It's beyond debate. In fact, we have observers, eyewitnesses, who said at one high festival period, the Aztecs sacrificed 20,000 victims on the Great Pyramid, that the pyramid ran red with the blood, that the sacrifices went on day and night for weeks, all day and all night. Just people were led up the top, throat is slit, blood drains down onto the pyramid. Now, point is that the story of human sacrifice is everywhere. And this story says, stop it. And this is one of the most important steps in all of human culture, anywhere on the planet. Africa, South America, North America, any place you want to look. This is one of the most important steps. And that is that God does not want his human worshipers to offer a human sacrifice. And this is the end, or supposed to be the end. And with this sermon, we can call it, the value of the human being suddenly changes. And here's the beginning of all the long Judeo-Christian tradition in which the human being becomes sacred, is to be preserved, is to be honored, is to not be enslaved, is to not be sacrificed. All the list of things in which Jews and Christians take the lead in the ancient world to preserve the life of human beings, to preserve the life of poor human beings, to preserve the life of women, to preserve the life of slaves, all the long list of people who will receive special protection now after this event. So that's what it's all about.